Hey everybody, welcome to Vacuum Wars. This is a comparison video of the current Ecovacs DEEBOT robot vacuum lineup. This is a video I've been meaning to make for a long time because despite owning and testing many different Ecovacs robot vacuums over the years, I still get confused when I try to figure out what makes one model different than another. So I did some additional research this week and I'll try to explain it all. Links in the description, and let's get started. I have these lined up here from the least to the most expensive, and while this isn't all of their products, it is the lineup that they are promoting the most in mid-2021. First of all, these are all Ecovacs DEEBOT OZMO robots. And Osmo is a term that Ecovacs uses to signify that they are robot mop combos, meaning that if you want to, you can attach a mopping pad to the underside of the vacuum and it will vacuum and mop at the same time. All of these listed use Ecovacs electronic water tanks, where it pumps water to saturate the mopping pad and you can control the amount of water in the app. I've tested a lot of these Ecovacs mopping systems in the studio and at my house, and I can say that they do the job really well and are one of the best systems out there. Most of these robot vacuums are LiDAR based, meaning that they use a top-mounted spinning invisible laser to map out your house, and they navigate in more or less straight lines. In the various navigation tests I did, they proved to have near perfect coverage and map floor plans usually on the first try. The LiDAR also opens up some cool possibilities in the app, but more on that later. The only one on this list that doesn't use LiDAR is the cheaper one, the U2 Pro, which does clean in systematic lines like the others, but it does so using algorithms and a floor tracker instead of LiDAR. The downside is that it's not going to be as accurate as the others, and it's not going to have any significant map features on the app like no-go lines, which again we'll talk about later. Another big thing people want to know is which ones are compatible with the new self-empty bin system. So the self-empty bin is where when the robot is done cleaning, it automatically returns to its base to charge, and when it does, a motor in the base kicks in and sucks the debris out of the dustbin into a disposable bag. The auto empty bin is only compatible with the N8, N8 Pro, T8 and T8 AIVI, though it probably will also be compatible with newer models when they come out in the future. If you see a plus in the name, it means that the robot vacuum comes with an auto empty bin in the package, but if you have one of these compatible robots, you can also buy the clean base separately, and it will come with a different dustbin that is compatible with the base, and you're ready to go. Another big difference is the obstacle avoidance features. Ecovacs has been a leader with implementing new technologies, usually mounted on the front of the robot, to help it avoid obstacles that are too low and or too light to be detected by its other sensors. Things like cords, small toys, and clothing. I think it's a next level feature that is very useful with robot vacuums. There are two different ways that Ecovacs does this. The first is by using something they call True Detect, which is a series of lasers pointed in different directions on the front of the robot, and the other is by using a front-mounted camera in combination with AI obstacle recognition, which Ecovacs calls AIVI. I've tested both types of these obstacle avoidance systems pretty thoroughly and really like them, but I do think they are very similar in terms of their capability. But I do think that the cheaper type, the True Detect, might even be a little bit more accurate, though the AI camera has more potential to be accurate as it learns. But in practical terms, they are very similar and very useful. The N8 Pro, N8 Pro Plus, and the T8 all use the True Detect laser system, and the T8 AIVI is currently their only model that uses the AIVI camera-based system. One difference worth noting is the battery size and battery life. Ecovacs uses either a 3200 mAh battery or a 5200 mAh battery in this lineup, and I did really notice a difference with this. For example, when using the T8 AIVI, which has the bigger battery, it always finished cleaning our house in one charge, but with the N8 Pro Plus, which has the smaller battery, it typically had to return to its base to recharge before completing the house. It's not a big deal, they all do have recharge and resume, so it's going to finish the job either way, but I prefer the bigger batteries which can get the job done in one charge. Another difference is their power. I always test airflow and suction in my reviews and have generally found all the Ecovacs models I have tested to be above average. But for this video, I'm just going to stick with the Ecovacs official specs. And as you can see, the N8 Pros have the highest official suction, and while I can't find official specs on the T8, in my tests the power was the same as the N8 Pro, so I'm going to assume that the T8s also have 2600 pascals. The N8, N8 Plus, and N7 have just slightly less suction power. As for the rest, I can't find official information on them, though I strongly suspect they are slightly lower than the others. With the exception of the U2 Pro, all of these have a ton of useful features on the app, such as no-go zones, where you can draw lines or boxes on the map in the app to keep the robot from going where you don't want it to go. I found this feature to be very accurate and very useful. It's one of my favorites. They also all have the same basic thing but for mopping called no mop zones. They have something called room select where you can tell it to go to one room and not others, and lots of features that you can use when scheduling cleanings like different power settings. Also, with the exception of the U2 Pro, they all have multi-level mapping where they can remember multiple floor plans in your house, like if you have a first and second floor. They all have the same basic hardware, like their rollers and side brushes. They have the same warranty, same high efficiency filtration, and they're about the same height with the exception of the U2. Links in the description to all the robots I mentioned. I really hope this video helped to make sense of this sometimes confusing lineup. Thanks for watching.